What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick,
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
and welcome to episode number 37 of Vinyl Bang with today's special guest, Jeff.
Today on Vinyl Bang, our very special guest is none other than the one, the only Leon Del Muerte. Leon Del Muerte, everybody.
Woo! Hey.
We always mention how great of a human being you are on this show, but Jeff's about to go down this list.
Yeah, Leon, you have come up in several different episodes because of several different reasons, whether it's an album somebody's talking about or somebody's got a fun story with you or somebody's had an embarrassing story with you. I've had to cut out a couple of stories because
that sounds more likely.
For those of you at home who are unfamiliar with Leon Del Muerte, first off, shame on you. Second off, Leon has probably played on the last 3 albums that you probably listened to, and you didn't even realize it. Leon is, of course, known for his work in Impaled, Terrorizer, and his own project, Lightbreaker. Also formerly of Exhumed, Intronaut, the Steve Miller Band, Phobia, Nails. Leon has done everything and anything. We are so honored to have you on the show, Leon. Thank you very much for doing this.
Since you've been doing this and I've been seeing these pop up on Facebook, I was like, what are these guys, like, blacklisting me? What the fuck, man?
No, hell no. Yeah, we should have, I don't know, we should have had you on much sooner, but like he says, your name comes up a lot. The last episode.
I have watched the show, but I have not. I mean, I also sort of a passive podcast listener, so like even if I heard it, I might not have been like, hey, what, like, you know. Right. So I gotta go back and hear some of those. Like, I gotta check out, I always check out the ones with like my friends first, and then go backwards.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, Topin from Fuck the Facts was on an episode recently, and he broke out a 7-inch that you were on from a bin that he got from back in the day. So that was a cool story that he shared.
I have a funny story with him too, where they played in Hollywood as one of those Scion shows, and they were staying Scion. Okay, first of all, this is a matinee show at the Roxy, I think, which is an old legendary venue in Hollywood, and they played in front of like 20 people. Like, nobody knew it was happening, and I only knew it was happening because they told me. Like, I don't know, like Scion went all out, but they didn't like advertise the show like at all. So there was not very many people there. They played their hearts out, like, you know, as they always do. Sure. And they got put up in this fancy hotel, and we went to the Rainbow next door. We got like some of us, I don't think all of them drink, but me and their old bass player Mark and the vocalist from DIS, another band I used to be in, we got really fucking hammered, and then I peed in the fountain at the hotel. We got kicked out.
Leon Del Muerte, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, all right.
Doing it.
Whenever Topin brought you up, he was telling the story. He was like in Leon. He's like, do you all know Leon? And I just, really? Here we go. Do you know Leon? If you don't know Leon, get the hell out of the show. You're out of here.
Like, damn, like that.
Like he didn't even have to say your last name. It's just like if you know what you mentioned, Leon.
Not a lot of Leons though.
Right there, automatically.
Well, that's cool. That's awesome. I haven't seen Topin since then, so it's been, man, that was probably like 15-ish years ago. 10, more than 10, maybe less than 15, but yeah, wow. It's been a while. They haven't come around in a long time.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about that, but it's yeah, same with us. We haven't seen him in, I think, maybe, I can't remember. Yeah, it's been a while. So
there's such good people, and they're so fun. Like I don't get to see them often enough to be like, oh man, I really miss them, but like I do. You know, like I would love to see them again and just catch up with them. The first time I met Melanie, I was doing one of those things where when you're on tour, sometimes, like, you know, you play at a scuzzy venue and I have to poop, and I do it in the women's bathroom. And she came in and I was like, I'm in here. I'm like, there's a dude in the toilet. I'm sorry. And she's like, it's no big deal. Just handle your shit, literally. And I was like, okay, all right, well, you know.
Occupado.
Yeah. Didn't want to like. It's like, I mean, it was not that cool to me, but also that men's room was like. You've been to men's rooms at venues, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, shout out to Topin and Mel and fuck the facts, Bill. But let's get to some vinyl here.
Sure.
Leon, we asked you to grab a bunch of records and tell the story, so let's get started.
All right. This is not really in any particular order. I just grabbed. So I don't have a super big vinyl collection because of two things that happened. One was the very first Intronaut tour, who you've got on your wall there. That first tour was so bad that when we got home, I literally had to sell all my records to pay rent. So I just offloaded everything I had, like some kind of rare stuff and mostly not, but like just everything I had. I had to sell everything I owned to pay rent at the time. So my collection is not great. And also when I was a kid, when I was 17, my house burned down. So I also lost my record collection back then too, even though back then I actually only had what would be considered classic vinyl now, but it was current vinyl at the time. But anyway, some of the stuff I grabbed, this is a Disrupt box set here. This is their discography, which it's not even opened actually. I've never, like, these days I kind of just buy stuff to have it. So I mean, Disrupt is one of my all-time favorite bands, super huge influence on me. There's like, I don't know how many times I've played Unrest. Like, I don't know, is especially for kind of like the seed of Murder Construct. It started out kind of being more like Terrorizer, Disrupt stuff, and then it sort of became more Death Grind later on. But Disrupt, super fucking important band to me. Like I said, I've never opened this up. I don't even know what's in here. I know it's the limited red vinyl version. I think this is like a Relapse reissue. Maybe not. Oh yeah, no, it's Relapse and Unrest Records, which is probably dudes from Disrupt, I imagine. Yeah, I don't even know what's in here. There could be like a shirt, a poster. I have no idea. Like I don't even open up my records anymore. I just like buy them and then listen to them on the download codes or whatever. Because I have a nice studio set up here, so like records just don't sound as good in here as a nice high quality Wave or MP3 or something. But yeah, Disrupt. You guys must know everything about this band, right? Like they're old as shit.
I'm not too familiar with them, but I'm definitely.
It's not mean to call you out like that, then. Whoops. Yeah. You want me to just keep grabbing them, or
what's up?
You want me to just keep grabbing
them? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Here's another box set here. This is the Demolic box set.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is Demolic is. It's really a tough toss-up between Demolic and Dismember on which of those bands have my favorite death metal records. Nespith it's like in my top, if nothing else, it's in my top 3. Sometimes that one's number 1, sometimes Like an Ever-Flowing Stream is number 1, sometimes World Downfall's number 1. This record, I mean, I've heard everything that's in here, but I also have not opened this. Not for any real reason. I'm not like keeping it just to sell it or something, but it just kind of feels weirdly sacrilegious to open up these kind of limited edition records and stuff.
Sure.
If we have some kids here one of these days, they'll inherit this bullshit and be like, "The fuck is this?" and prop up the table. So super band for me though.
No, that band is fucking incredible. I've seen them a handful of times. Fortunately, I'm very envious of that. Where did that come from?
This was, I think, Smart Records put this out. Like,
okay, yeah,
about maybe not quite 10 years old, but something like that. It was right around the time that they were coming back and doing shows and stuff, and I think. Like they wanted to, it's got like demo songs on it. It's got an unreleased new song that's newer than Nespith, which is fucking awesome. It's got 2 re-recordings of demo songs, which are good, but not quite as good as the song the song that's like the new song on here is like worth the price. Like I don't know what I paid for this. I don't remember. I'm sure it was way too much because it came from Finland. But it like whatever that price was, it was fucking worth it for just that one new Demolic song. Like I swear to God.
No, for sure. Yeah, I got Naismith from Smart a couple years ago. It was like a real rare pressing or limited pressing, but it's obviously a repress. But
yeah,
man, like that band fucking rules.
Oh, good. So it's just such like weird. They're also like, I mean, one of the bands that they were doing odd time signatures kind of really early on. I used to be a pen pal with Auntie Bowman, who's the main guy from them. Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
so like when I was like 12, so back when I was a kid in high school, I went to a show. I went and saw I think it was Unleashed in Death in San Francisco. I can't quite remember which show it was, but that doesn't matter. Somebody handed me a tape and it said DCA. It was Death Chamber Audio, and I can't remember what the name of it. It was just a comp, and it was like it had really early. So this would have been in like 1991 or 92 or something like that, and it had Demolic, it had Marduk, it had um, Dissection. Like it had all these like kind of really early bands that were doing like pretty cool dark shit. And I want to say that the Demolic song was the first song on the tape, and it just like whatever like the first nowadays like it might not be considered that crazy, but for back then it was so weird and awkward and just like it's such a interesting different take on death metal. Like I don't think any death metal bands were doing like really. It's not jazzy at all. It's very metal, but it's just awkward and like wacky time signatures and just kind of like angular and like stuff that a lot of like kind of disso death like you would call it now, but not quite. And yeah, it just like it really informed a lot of the early stuff that I liked, and Dissection too. I really, really, really liked. It had that song "Frozen" from the first record. That also was just like I'd never heard something so orchestrated, even though a lot of heavy metal bands were doing that, and they're basically just a heavy metal band that was fast. But yeah, Demolic was like such a big, and Sean from Impale too. Like back when we were the primary songwriters on the first Impale stuff, I think he also really liked Demolic too. So me and him both really liked Dismember, Dissection, Demolic back then. I shouldn't speak for him because he'll be telling me like he's like I fucking hated Dissection and. I really like Demolic and Dissected and Dismember. All the fucking demons.
Yeah. You keep going.
All right. Martyrdod, you guys know these guys? Fucking Sweden.
Yes.
I'm almost certainly not pronouncing that correctly. Martyrdod.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I don't know if those umlauts mean anything, but yeah, I think you got it. Martyrdod.
Yeah, I fucking love these two records, In Extremis and Paranoia. They had a weird thing where like every other record of theirs kind of later on was bad, and every other one was like awesome. So they had, I think, LDOP came out after this, and LDOP was the bad one, and then they had another one after that was good. I kind of forget. I know I'm missing some of the records here, and I just can't remember what they're all called. A friend of mine, actually my friend's girlfriend, was playing this in her car, and I was just like, who the fuck is it? She was playing In Extremis in her car. And it's just like really nasty, like Swedish D beat, but like kind of interesting, sort of different harmonies than you hear, like not your normal thirds and fifths and stuff. And I was like, what is this? And she told me what it was, and I got it, and I played this fucking record like just over and over and over and over for like years and stuff. And also like this one, Paranoia, has one of the best D beat songs ever written. The second one, Overcome Eradsla, which means, I think, if I remember correctly, overcome your fear. or Overcome or something. It doesn't matter. But that's really good. Both of these are awesome records. I absolutely love this band when they're doing the good records. So, like I said, every other record is like slow and boring, and then the record after that is sick as fuck. So, just get it all out. Yes.
Yeah, that is. I believe that's called the universe balancing itself out.
yeah.
Good
Those
record, bad record. You know.
I mean, it's not such a bad way to do it, right? Because we all write bad music, even if we don't know it. But, they just have to release it too. So, like,
Sure.
a lot of us like write bad music, and we're just like, oh yeah, this riff sucks. Like, I'm just not gonna play this shit anymore. And these guys just like, fuck, this riff sucks. Let's just do a whole record of it. So I don't know. It seems
Right.
like it to me.
Right. I've always wanted to check out that band, but I never knew where to start. So now,
Yeah,
I'm going to check out those albums for sure.
those two. They have another one that's also pretty good. I'm totally blanking on the name right now. I've had like such a busy day. I am super hyperactive right now, so I can't think it straight. But I'm fucking here for this. This is Hashashin. These guys are a Australian band. I think this is their third record actually. Oh man, I'm getting all kinds of glare here. These guys, I know, Jeff, that you are a Secret Chiefs 3 fan, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Oh, I see. Is he away right now?
He is.
Yeah. This is kind of like some of the more like Middle Eastern Secret Chiefs, like heavy Middle Eastern stuff. These guys, they call themselves drone, but I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I think that they are much more interesting than any drone band really has any right to be. These guys, I'm friends with one of them on Facebook. His name is Lachlan Dale. He's a super nice guy. When I went to Australia with Nails, there was a chance that we were going to meet up, and I was like super excited to meet him. We had to bail at the last minute. But anyway, Hashashin, really good, like kind of psyche, kind of heavy, not so droney, but it does have some element of that, I guess. Middle Easterny, kind of a lot of dominant Phrygian modes and stuff, like real easy to listen to, but heavy and distinct and kind of fascinating.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys know this one? Fucking Dodheimsgard.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Dodheimsgard. This is the latest Dodheimsgard, black medium current.
I've heard the name, not familiar with the band at all.
Really? Oh, dude, I am calling you guys out so fucking hard. Dodheimsgard's been a favorite of mine since like the mid '90s. In the mid '90s, they had an EP. So their first record or first couple of records were kind of more like black thrash, sort of. It's black metal, but it's thrash on the thrasher side, kind of more Dark Throne than anything else. But they kind of became this sort of weird melting pot band. This band, like this record, came out last year. I think it might be 2 years old at this point. The last like 4 years are just like they've all blended together in my mind. But this band, like this record, really, they have the record before this, whose name I'm blank, Ultima Umbra Omega, excuse me. That record was awesome, but it had the vocals were kind of, I don't want to say they were bad. They were not to my taste. I'll say every now and again the guy would be awesome, but like he was kind of doing sort of anyway, it doesn't matter. This record, different vocalist, it's awesome. It's so good from start to finish. It's like it hits everything for me. It does have some kind of semi-fillery stuff where there's like some kind of vague techno-ish. Not really. I shouldn't say that because that makes it sound so much worse. The weird rock and roll kind of like rock opera stuff. Like there's just a lot. It just covers a lot of ground, from like blasting black metal to like kind of vaguely rock opera stuff to like I don't know, show tunes or something. It's not like Igor or something. It's not that weird. It's much more put together than that and cohesive. But it is interesting, and these guys do a lot of great shit. And that EP of theirs, Satanic Art, that got me into them. It's like it has my favorite black metal song ever recorded. It's called Traces of Reality. It's got Galder from formerly of Dimmu Borgir, the guy from Old Man's Child, some other dude, I think Apollyon from R Noir is on it. Like it's got like everybody in Norway on it. And it's so good. It's just, and the drummer is you might know the drummer too, Sizral. He did the band Virus, and his name is Carl Michael Ide, if I remember correctly. He's done a lot of stuff. He's in R Noir now. He plays guitar though, because he like some point in the early 2000s he jumped out of a window. He broke both of his feet. That's all I know about the story. So he can't play drums anymore. So, but he is playing drums on Traces of Reality, on Satanic Art, and he's just like blasting like in the 90s at like 300 BPM. He's like the first guy I ever heard play that fast, and I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, what are you doing, dude?
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's so gnarly. It's just real. It might sound a little dated these days, but like when it was just mind blowing when I first heard it.
Oh yeah,
very cool. Very cool.
Adam's Guard.
Yeah. Like I said, they're a band that I've heard, but I've never checked out. But I will definitely change that now. The one thing I like about having guests on the show is that I discovered new music
Sure.
that I should have already known at this point.
Yeah,
and I've been called a poser more times than what I care. And this is cool. Like I like hearing these stories to get a little bit of a backstory as to why I should be well versed in this album or this band.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm looking at the on the background image here at this vinyl and stuff too. But I mean, also like if you aren't being called a poser every day, are you even really into metal at all?
Right.
Like it's just that's just where we are.
So lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah, right, exactly. If it weren't for the gatekeepers, we'd have nobody to rebel against, I guess.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys know this band, Inhume. They are a Dutch death grind band. This is their record, In for the Kill. This is signed, one of the few signed things, and the reason it's signed is because the first time I went to Europe with Exhumed, we actually toured with these guys, and it's the first time in my entire life. This was in 2004. It's the first time in my entire life I actually toured with a band I was a fan of. Like normally you tour with bands that, like I've toured with like Nile and Incantation, and like I know Nile and Incantation. I'm fans of some of their stuff, but like this is like the first time I toured like a really underground band that I was like super into, and I was just like oh my god, we're gonna play with these guys every night. And they were so good too. They like did not disappoint at all. They're like a 6-piece band. These fucking Dutch dudes. 3 of them are like 8 feet tall, and then 3 of them are like 3 feet tall. So they're like the fucking most awkward looking band on stage. At least like the 2 guitar players were the 8 feet tall guys, and they would do opposing windmills. So it looked like windshield wipers while they were playing. They were so sick. It was like just watching them. I literally watch them every single night, and I never do that. Like usually either I go and hang out with people, or I'm at the bar or whatever. I'm backstage, like just keep it to myself or whatever. But these guys, I had to watch them every single night because they just fucking killed it. That lineup they're still around. This lineup that was on this record is dissolved, but it's still 3 of the guys that were on this record, I think, if I remember correctly. And they're also like the nicest guys. When we had to share a tour bus with them, and it was just like, keep in mind, again, this is like my first time in Europe, and so I didn't know, I maybe had an inkling of an idea, like when you go to Europe, that the venues treat you much better. Like it's not like the US where like you can beg for a pizza or something, and maybe you'll get a 1 drink ticket for fucking garbage or whatever. But when we were there, like, every night they were giving us cases of beer, and they were like, at the end of the night, they were like, all this beer is for you, just take it. And so we would load, and also it was my first tour bus tour also, which was crazy. And so we just would take cases of beer onto the bus, and like because of the time difference, we would just stay up all night. And so we would just stay up, like after the show, we'd be like wide awake and like party until fucking dawn, until like the sun came up, and then we'd go to bed and sleep, you know, while we were traveling and stuff. So it was really fun. That trip was like I literally fucking cried at the end of this tour. I was just like, oh, I can't believe it's over. We went.
Aw.
It was like 35 days or something. It was a long one. It was Inhume, Cephalic Carnage, Exhumed.
Oh my god!
Just a
Wow.
fun whole fucking time. And you guys obviously know the Cephalic guys are, you know, well-known partiers also.
Yeah.
So it was just the most fucking fun. And then I actually had this record before I went to see them, but then I didn't bring it with me because I never think to get stuff signed. So they gave me another one, signed it. I don't even have the one I had before, but I still have the one that they signed. So that was super fucking awesome. I can't say enough good things about these guys. They were just like, they're so good. This record is so fucking mean and vicious. It's just out of control. The drummer on that record, Rule, he rules. He's fucking just like one of the best. Just single footing it, just as fast as fuck, just pounding his drums, you know, as like an 8 foot tall fucking guy does. So good. Check this record out if you haven't heard it.
Definitely.
You probably hear that a lot on this show too. Check this record out if you haven't heard it. How's Jeff doing, dog?
He's with us still, right?
Jeff is with us. Yeah, I have Kane here at my feet. Look at this.
Hey!
Look at this. I have a dog now. All right, I have my grand dog Kane, who is very rambunctious. It is all over the place.
Nice.
Yeah,
love a rambunctious dog.
Yeah, he is going to be in a lot of the episode now that he's here. I'm so
rad.
excited. I am here for it.
If I wasn't in the studio next door to my house, I would have brought the cats over, but they don't like it in here. So, yeah, which is good because you're also not supposed to have. You shouldn't have the cats in the studio anyway. It's terrible.
Well. Next time, I mean, just let everybody know we are very pet friendly here at Vinyl Bang.
Nice.
Cats, dogs, aardvarks, whatever. Bring them on.
I'll have to bring my aardvark next time. Budos Band, you guys know these guys at all? They are like kind of an Afrobeat band from New York. Bunch of white dudes, it has to be said, but they do it really well. I first heard it's really good, like kind of funky, sort of low intensity, but good shit. They started actually, it's weird. I went to go see them the first time I saw these dudes. And one of the guys was wearing a Celtic Frost shirt, and I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, I would not have expected that. And I just happened to be talking to my friend Jay, and he was like, oh yeah, the bass player from that band, he used to be in a hardcore band from New York also, like whose name I'm blanking on. It's just some initials like CT or CA or something like that. I can't remember what the name of the band is, but they are kind of metal adjacent. This shit's not metal at all, but it's they did like on later records some Black Sabbath covers and made them kind of Fela Kuti-ish. If you like Fela Kuti and stuff like that, you'll probably like the Budos Band. I would have brought a Fela Kuti record if I actually had that, but this is as close as I got right now. So yeah, Budos Band, totally worth checking out. This record, their first record, is, as with everything, it's their best record. The first song on it, Up From the South, is like one of the best Afrobeat songs ever written. It's super retro. This is not that old, but it looks like it's made in the 70s or some shit, you know. This is probably from like fucking 2005 or some shit, maybe 2010 or something. There's probably a date on here. There sure isn't. So good job for them not keeping it fucking real. But anyway, yeah, worth checking out if you like. If you want to, you know, have a not metal day. They also have like 6 records out. I haven't even heard the last like 3 of them, but good stuff.
Oh yeah,
right on.
This is another. I guess I grabbed 2 Hashashin records. So this is the same band that I had earlier. This Australian band. fuck, I can't find that record. Anyway, oh, there it is. Yeah, so this is the same band, Hashashin. Again, this is their first record. All of their records are exceptional. You can't. There's not. They only have 3, but you can't. There's not one of them that's like, oh, that's the one. You got to listen to that one. But this first record, like when I first heard it, I was like, oh my god, this is. It's like, it feels like it was like made for me. Like it's exactly the kind of shit that I like. Just super Middle Eastern, kind of heavy, like a lot of different instrumentation, very Secret Chiefs 3 on the like the side. Is one of the Secret Chiefs band of bands. So yeah, Hashashin. I don't know. I can't recommend this highly enough. These guys are so good. Also, their merch looks so fucking sick. I have like 10 of their shirts because it looks so good.
I'm sorry. I should explain. In case it hasn't already been brought up, I'm kind of in and out, handling the dog and everything. Are these guys still around?
Hashashin, yeah, they're a current band.
Okay.
The main guy, Lachlan Dale, he has a record label called Art as Catharsis. And he releases all kinds of weird, interesting, I think mostly Australian bands, but like bands that are doing kind of like, it's not metal really, it's kind of metal adjacent, I guess, like heavy guitars or heavy whatever other stringed instruments, sarangis and stuff. And like he has another band called Black Aleph that's also fucking really, really good. That's, I think, kind of what he's focusing on right now. But these guys kind of put records out fairly regularly. I think like every 3 years they have another record. So yeah, shit's not that old, but yeah, they're still around.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to check them out too.
Yeah, if you like Secret Chiefs 3 and you like the more kind of base Middle Eastern stuff, you'll definitely dig this.
Awesome. That's a good selling point.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Do you guys know this record, Ved Wenzende?
No, not familiar.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm feel like such a fucking elitist now. But Ved Wenzende is also one of the main guy from Dadaimsgard. So I'm just a fan of this dude. His name is Yusuf Parvez. Parvez, excuse me. His name is Vikotnik on the records. He is the main guy behind this band and Dadaimsgard. He is just a super talented guitar player. He's a guy that I really respect and look up to. I think his writing's really, really interesting. And like, I have sat around, I'm trying to get better about figuring out other people's music. I never used to do that. I used to always just play my own music, and like that was it. Like I don't fuck around. Like, I know some Metallica riffs and I know some Carcass stuff. I know almost every Carcass riff, but so that's a bad example. But everything else, like I'm trying to learn more other people's music, so that my own music is a little more varied in a way. Like I can, if I learn how to play some of these weird, especially with stuff like this and Dadaimsgard, where it's like it's just different. It's just not normal music, and it's this is so dark, and it's got a lot of singing. I guess it's black metal. It's very like it might not sound as weird today as it did when it came out, but this is another record I think from the 90s, maybe the early 2000s. This also has the guy Sizral who broke his legs, who played drums in Dadaimsgard. And I think it also has Skull. It's got Skull on bass, pardon me. So Skull on bass, Vikotnik and Carl Michael Ide, who's Sizral. Sizral was like a super sick drummer. So when he broke his feet and he stopped playing drums, it was actually kind of like, for dipshit fanboys like me, it was kind of devastating. Because he just, like, his drumming is so interesting. Everything is interesting on this record. Even the singing, which is not like pitch perfect, it's a little shaky here and there, which kind of gives it, I think, like a little, it's sort of it's very charming, like how it's not perfect. It's kind of creaky and a little, maybe tiny little bit off key here and there, and I don't know, super good. I love this record. I haven't listened to it in a couple of years, but I used to listen to it pretty much all the fucking time. their only record. I think that they just recently got back together and they're playing. They're definitely playing shows. I hope they're going to do another record, although it'll be at least 20 years between records. So it's going to be hard for them to sort of do the thing they did late 90s, early 2000s that they might be doing now. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm rooting for them. I hope that they can do it and they can pull it off.
Fuck yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. You guys must know these dudes. Fucking, I'm not even sure which is the front or the back of this. Fucking
miasmatic necrosis. Yes, yeah. I know
Evan. This is also one of my favorite records of the last few years. My friend Danny Olivencia, who you guys may know, he's the bass player in this band, and Paulo, their guitar player, and Evan, obviously from Maryland Death Fest, and the drummer who's Ian. I almost blanked on his name. Ian. I didn't know before this band, but Paulo and Danny Olivencia. I've known Danny Olivencia since he was like 14 years old. He used to like jam me up on AOL Instant Messenger and stuff, and we just got to be friends. We're still friends. I actually just saw him like a week ago. He was playing in that band Uniform, if you know them. I'd never heard them before. Interesting stuff, very drony and heavy, like kind of repetitive and chanty and sort of ritually, like not how black metal bands call their shows rituals, but an actual kind of sort of ritualistic sort of vibe. But anyway, this record, I was so like it came so out of left field. Paulo, the guitar player, was in a band called Copremesis or Copremesis. I forget how you pronounce it. They were kind of like a brutal death metal band from New York. Like, so when Danny was saying he was playing with Paulo and doing grindcore, I was like, what the fuck is that going to sound like? So it's so good. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably more than I have. I've only seen them like 3 or 4 times or something. But you've seen them like more than a few times.
They've played a couple times before they were Miasmatic Necrosis. They went by another name, and they played one show at Maryland Death Fest. And then years had passed, and then they changed the name to Miasmatic Necrosis. That album had come out, and I actually have a first pressing of it on vinyl. And if you open it up, you can see like the intestines on the inside of the record.
Oh, no shit! You ain't kidding. It looks like a carcass record in here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sick. They have an inside print sleeve.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I did not notice that before.
Yeah, that's a great. I love Evan. He's been an awesome friend over the years, whether it's Maryland Death Fest or whatever. Yeah. But anytime I've gone to see that, and he's like held on to. He sent me like shirts in the mail and shit. I've supported the shit out of that band because I love gore grind. I love, and what he's doing with that is just it's fucking perfect.
It's fucking perfect. Like Evan, like bringing like the super pitch shifted. Like I didn't know what Evan's tastes were, but I assumed they were probably along the same lines as mine. Like he probably likes fucking pitch shifted gore grind. He had Regurgitation at Maryland, and he's had bands that I didn't think I would ever see. So I'm not sure Evan or Ryan, who's like kind of like I mean, they both bring super underground bands, but there are some bands that they've brought that have like legitimately surprised me at times. I'm like the first time they brought Rotten Sound, I never thought I would ever see it. I mean, now I'm kind of sick of seeing Rotten Sound. I see them so often. But, that first time they came out, it was like their only US show or something. They played, they're still playing Murder Works. I'm not really sick of Rotten Sound, but I fucking lost my mind at that show. I was like pushing myself up while they were playing on the barrier and like kicking my feet out, and somebody grabbed my feet and they just pushed me over the barrier and I landed on my head and I just like jumped out stage. I just fucking ran off. I was so fucking they were like my favorite band at the time. Like Rotten Sound's Murder Works. I wish I had a copy of that still. I don't have that anymore. But that was like, I took a 4 or 5 year breather from death metal and metal and just like heavy guitars and everything. I just had like at some point, like in the, I guess the late 90s, I was just like, I'm tired of this shit. And I just needed a break in it. I didn't think it was going to be like years long, but it kind of was. And when Murder Works came out, that record got me right back into. I was just like, holy fuck, this is like the most savage thing ever recorded. And I mean, there's probably been stuff since and whatever that is crazier, but at the time, like, you know, it's a 28-minute long record that's just fucking blast beats from start to finish and just completely bonkers, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah.
All I got left, I grabbed some random 7-inches. 2 Secret Chiefs 3 7-inches. Here's oh wait, I'm pointing at the wrong one. There is over there. That I think they're more, if I remember, this is like they're kind of more Middle Eastern-y surfy stuff. So it's, you know, the Band of Bands thing. Forms is on this one. Forms, I think, is more like covers, if I remember correctly. I sort of forget what because there's 7 or 9 bands in that Secret Chiefs 3 encompasses 7 to 9 bands. I forget. There's like the Holy Them, which is like their metal stuff, which is like the surfy Middle Eastern-y stuff. Forms, which I think is covers. I sort of forget. This I think is like a cover of like a show tune and it's on a Wurlitzer or something. I haven't listened to this in a while. I sort of forget. And then this is a cover of Stars and Stripes Forever, done Secret Chiefs 3 style. It's so good. I was really surprised. It's like also like not a song you hear very often, but I was just like very interesting. My love of Secret Chiefs 3 is like complete, total, I should say. You know, one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't know that I have. I'm sure I have. I know I have records of theirs. I was going to say we just moved, but we actually moved like 3 years ago. So I still have a bunch of shit in boxes that I just have never pulled out. So my basement is fucking just a mess with shit that I haven't sorted through yet and probably never will. So fucking the cats will inherit that shit when I die. But
I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna go ahead and send you my address once the episode's over. Just in case, you know, if there's something that maybe I should inherit.
On my deathbed, I leave it all to Jeff. You know. Nick, I'll try to remember you too. I think the last thing I have here, which is kind of a funny one to end on, is a Cathilist record. You know these guys from Montreal?
I do not.
No, you guys haven't heard this? It's
You're bringing the real underground to Vinyl Bang this week, Leon.
I wasn't trying to
me and Jeff look like a bunch of posers over here.
It's funny too because there was a bunch of stuff where I was like, this is too obscure that I like a lot of the 7-inches I have are stuff that people have like given to me over the years, and so some of it I don't even really know, but I was like, oh, when I was looking through it, I did have like kind of a little trip down memory lane where I was like, oh man, I remember when this dude gave me this. A lot of records that have been given to me too. Like I thought about bringing those too, like Horror's Nation, who played Maryland a couple of years ago. Those guys, I did a little guest solo on their record. Great fucking band, super gnarly drumming. Everything about them super gnarly. I don't know if you guys have heard them. They played Maryland, but Horror's Nation, that was another like, you know, 7-inch. I got a record of theirs. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that was in there. A lot of bands that just like were a flash in the pan. Like Annul was a band that was Sherwood Weber from Skinless. Like they did 1 7-inch and that was it. And I just happen to have like 4 of them in there. I probably have the world's largest collection of Annul records. So Montreal, this band, it's funny because they actually sound like Demolic. That was their whole thing, is that they are like Demolic, but with like ripping guitar solos, just some of the sickest soloing ever. This, I don't know, I'm not sure if I've actually heard this or not. I definitely bought it, but I definitely looks like I didn't open it, so I don't think I've actually heard this.
What a poser. God,
I know.
Come on.
Like buying a shirt of a band you don't know. I should be wearing a Misfits shirt or something, you know. I don't know. I didn't even have a nice record player up until the Lightbreaker. Actually, I should probably. Well, anyway, I have the Lightbreaker test presses somewhere, and yeah. Where are they?
Hell yeah. This dude.
I'm totally with of the Lightbreaker record. I promised I wasn't going to do any of my own shit, so I'm not going to get all into this. But I bought a record player, just like a nice one, a nice project. I don't know, fucking record player is like $1,000, dude. And fucking, I not having had a record player in a really long time, and never, ever, ever having had like a for real record player that has like the weight on it and is like very carefully balanced and is like, this fucking practical work of art that like to me didn't make a whole lot of sense. When I put that thing together and then I listened to the record on it, I was like, I texted my friends Simon and Keith, and I was like, seriously, like they're both huge record nerds, and like I was like, seriously, this is your preferred format? Fuck, this sucks, man. I was so pissed off that I was like, fuck, this record sounds like shit. I fucking records sound like shit. And as it turned out, I just didn't. There's a little teeny tiny weight on a fishing line that you had to put on the back of the fucking needle arm. And because I didn't have that, it was skating and it was like bouncing and stuff. So yeah, so I was like, once I got that sort, I was like, oh, this is why, because I have like a little tube amp for it and everything. Nothing fancy, because I frankly blew my wad buying just the fucking record player itself, so I didn't go hard on the receiver for it. But yeah, I was like, oh, now I see why people like this. It is kind of like, enchanting and enthralling to just kind of sit there and just fucking look at the cover art and just space out like people did in the 70s all day, apparently. Or
yeah. Well, and plus, like with vinyl, and I'm sure you might have heard on the well, maybe you probably didn't hear on your own album's test press, but I mean, you hear so many intricacies, just little details that you don't hear on streaming or CDs or whatever.
It is interesting because the vinyl. So I mastered my own record for vinyl, which is something I'd never done before, and so there is a EQ curve that you use for vinyl, and basically you cut a lot of the very top end and a lot of the low end, so you're getting sort of less information, but by kind of narrowing the scope of information that you get from what you're hearing, it sort of focuses all the elements of what you're hearing. So it's like all the really high end stuff that's in there, like in the 10K and up range, is like it's not there on the record. So it's like there's a lot of, I don't know, it's not noise, but it's like some of it is kind of like for your ears, it's sort of useless information. Not that low. Normally like 16K and up is where like adults start losing hearing and stuff. But anyway, I'm blathering. But the point was that yes, because of the narrower bandwidth of what you're listening to, yeah, it does focus some of the mid-range stuff that you wouldn't necessarily hear in a full range recording.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. There you go. Now we're getting a lesson in audio. Something we haven't had, and I didn't know this.
Yeah, it was news to me too, man.
Very informative.
Hell yeah. Well, Leon, thank you so much for this. This was an awesome episode. You had some killer stories, and like I said, whether we know about these or not, Jeff brought it up earlier. Like we always learn about new bands and with our guests, and this was definitely a huge lesson for both of us. I want to check out some of the Cathelis. Is what you said?
Yeah, I'm super stoked for you guys to hear
Hashishine. Dude, I am so excited to hear this.
Yeah, I think you're gonna really like that. It's
awesome.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. I was gonna say I hate to dick ride, but I don't at all. I fucking love to fucking just like, oh dude, I want to proselytize about bands that I fucking love. So check that shit out. Fucking check out Dot Guard. I can't remember what Hashishine, Dot Guard. Oh, Ved Buenzende. Yeah, that's Ved Buenzende. They only got one record, so It's weird though, so if you're not into it, I don't blame you. But it's fucking, it is strange shit. It's really good though. I love it.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you very much, Leon, for being our guest this week. Thank you for everybody for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Yep. See you guys.